Hey, hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo Channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for you. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play out as karmic themes, help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is, right? You're a magnet of who and what comes into your life. A lot of times, we attract people that, project a lot. They want they want you to perceive yourself as less than what you are. Everybody wants to take your energy. You only have so much time, energy, focus, and money. Those are your resources. So when we're talking about the magician, right? Like if we were to pull that tarot card, that it means that you have everything that you need inside of you. However, we live in societies that tell us that we're not good enough. And I understand people will always try to make you feel as if you aren't good enough, aren't worthy, always to try to make you feel vulnerable. It's if you don't feel good about yourself, then again, you're very easily manipulated. See, when you know who you are, you can't be moved. You have discernment. You feel strong, you feel rooted within yourself. It doesn't mean just embodied in your job and your hobby or your relationship. It's actually that connection that you have with God and the higher self, because we don't have control over the environment. You only have control over yourself. So relationships always will show you where you are strong and where you are weak, right? Again, that's why relationships happen. Relationships from a spiritual perspective are here to help you evolve. So you may say, yeah, that person that hurt me, that betrayed me, that kept you ruminating in a lower vibration. Well, it's again when we get stuck in that energy, spirit saying no one can make you feel that way except for yourself. And so there's many different ways to look at a situation. So why would you choose to look at it from the perception that you're looking at it? See, healing is that. Healing is to be able to see things from a spiritual perspective. A lot of times we can't. We're like, again, we're born into families, and that those families teach us, and a lot of times through pain, and then we meet people that reinforce that spiritual lesson over and over and over again until we actually learn it. And so, if you grew up in an environment that was really imbalanced, which everyone's environment is imbalanced, because the home that you live in, a lot of times was determined by what was happening from the outside collectively. So when there's depression, when there's wars, when there's other things that people create habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment with those perceptions, and really we inherit those. So that affects our DNA. That is when we heal spiritual issues, we actually upgrade our DNA. I don't know if you knew that, and I don't know why I'm telling you that. All right. So every reading lately, I've been wanting to start with, what do you need to know for yourself? What do you need to focus on? And whether this is just for the day, for the week, sometimes it's for the month, intuitively you'll know And I've just been pulling like random cards. So we're going to pull 3 from this deck. I feel like I've come down with a sinus infection. I can't stand that because the weather here, it goes hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Not good for my nervous system. All right. So let's see. Let's see what Spirit's saying that you need to focus on. Your willingness to learn new things will climax the agony of resisting. So I feel like you're going through a transition, and the transition is the fact that it's internal and it's actually external. And internal is like you're like growing into your own, which means like you're knowing your worth. You see yourself differently. You expect more because you know you're someone that gives 100%. So I feel like you've assessed certain relationships in your life, and just certain relationships, they don't measure up. They're not equal. And so whenever you change, it creates negative reactions for people that were used to taking advantage of you. The internal is the fact, again, that you're coming into your own. You're saying, hey, listen, I'm worth it. I love myself. But this transition is going to be turbulent. So Spirit's saying, get grounded. It's like join new things, try new things. And this, so it could be, again, the change of a relationship or several relationships. There's a sense that you're not comfortable. Like you're not comfortable, like in the fact that you're not seeing people like stay in your life. But I feel like as you become more and more into your own, the more and more people will eventually stay. But as you change, you evolve, and not everyone is meant to come in. Mainly, a lot of people just come in to teach, to heal. So you might say it's just such an awkward time, and it's to grow you strong and have compassion towards others who may see the world through a different lens of experience. So you might feel like, again, you're not jiving with a lot of people that you're meeting. And so Spirit's saying that that's okay. Whenever you're not comfortable with inside of you, one of the manifestations is, you tend to meet people that come in for a season, Spirit's saying. And saying part of it is this is to help you get more grounded. Spirit wants to see you get more connected to your body, the physical. And so exercise, because that helps you get into the present moment. It helps you shut your mind off. It helps you, again, not focus on what this person thinks, what that person thinks, what this person. Be in the moment, focus on your own goals. And that happens by being like not just focused on the goals, but be more grounded, the connection to the physical body, because only in the now do you get divine guidance. And it's healthy, is what Spirit's saying. There's a sense that you get very up in your mind, and Spirit's saying like you can relax. Every self-honoring boundary you set has potential to heal the other person. This goes back to as you change and evolve, people fall out of your life. Well, this is also saying like you have to also create boundaries. If you create boundaries and a person is willing to like abide by those boundaries, then they can stay in your life. If they can't, then you know that they can't stay in your life. It's just that simple. But when you have boundaries, you're actually not just healing yourself, you're healing the other person because you're teaching them. You know, a lot of times people don't realize that they come across codependent or they come across needy or they come across, it's again, you hold the standard. So the spirit saying, and through that, you can set boundaries through. To me, the water element is always your unique individuality, your passion. Your second chakra is connection to the water element. We go with the flow of life through the passion for life. So, getting a better connection to your passion, Spirit saying. It's like your passion for life is your connection to God, your connection to other people, because it's you give and receive of love through your free will. You're able to create boundaries, find yourself, and evolve all at the same time. Spirit saying through, again, this center, that what the water center. And the water center, when it's balanced, we can go with the flow of life. When it's not balanced, then there's this need that we need to control. We have anxiety, we have to worry because, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. And Spirit says, because you don't let me do my job. The lack of faith and the lack of connection to self through connection to your passion. That's your passion center, your birthing center. That's your manifestation center. That's your everything center to me. When that's off, which a lot of people have it off, then relationships are really difficult. Money is difficult. Everything tends to be difficult. And then we're afraid. And then when you know, we hold a lot of tension in our lower backs. And so, and the back symbolizes support, right? The spiritual, from a spiritual perspective, when we're looking at the body and what it means, it really means support. So when people don't feel supported because their life experiences, the home that they grew up in, again, whatever their perception has been from the reality that they've lived, well, again, we then see people that also have hip problems and, again, other issues within that area, prostrate, birthing issues. And so every spiritual issue is a psychological one. And it's not just psychological, it's psychological and it's emotional. It's held in the body as stress. It's what becomes your energy vibration. So, Spirit saying, really, when you learn new things, well, it opens you up to meeting new people. Again, opens up your third eye, but also helps ground yourself. And that opens up a new world for you, is what Spirit's saying. Otherwise, you're stuck in, again, what a person might do, what they could do, what they couldn't do. And Spirit's saying it's like you have no control. But it's, again, you have to do it because it'll affect your heart. Because it affects your nervous system, right? That's what happens when you're around somebody that you don't really trust. And trust on a psychological or emotional level, the mind doesn't know the difference. So Spirit's just saying, join new things. Sorry, I had very spicy dinner tonight, and I'm just like, to open up my sinuses, and I don't feel better. If anything, I feel worse. Anyway, like, okay, so let's see. Let's see what the underlining energy is, and let's just see where everything goes. I have a rip-roaring headache. 2, obsession. Okay. Nervousness. So, I do believe that you've been in separation from someone for a while, and they are very nervous. I also believe that you tend to, when you get nervous, you get obsessive as well. Like goes to like. That's the second chakra and balance spirit saying. Again, not allowing yourself to have a process. We all have a process. The nervousness, I feel like, is with the person, obviously, is it's like, well, you're not coming around. You feel like you're detached. They feel like you're detached from them. And I feel like, and hey, they're forced to have to do something, obviously. But what's underneath it is doubt, but not just doubt. I doubt quite highly that you take me back, but so much time is going by. Well, why is so much time going by? Are you talking to somebody else? Like, are you interested in somebody else? I don't feel your energy as connected anymore to mine. And I feel like, no, because you don't trust this person anymore. And that's the thing that affects the second chakra. And the second chakra is all about trust, it's intimacy. And so when you're connected to somebody that you love, but they betray you and they make you not feel safe, well, it's obvious. And I feel like with this person, they lied. They lied. And I feel like they acted as if, I feel like this person acted a lot more confident and a lot more successful, like showed you a side of them that was exaggerated, to say the least, to try to impress. And so when a person comes in, and I'm just trying to explain to you, and I'll tell you, I will get to the point where I tell you that what this person does, but I have to let you know the reason why this person did this is because they don't feel good about themselves. So they create this better version of themselves, which, by the way, is abandonment of self, which is a second chakra in balance, which then is like they don't really like who they are. So they held back, but you're not doing anything. So, of course, they want to control. Of course, they're going to be jealous. Of course, now they're going to be obsessive. Of course, because again, that what you see is they went from nothing to all of a sudden, like, I'm obsessive. It's like, why? Well, because you trigger their abandonment. That's the wound. And really, the underlining energy is that. Because it's like, well, this person's not doing anything. And you're like, well, I'm not doing anything. It's like you're almost like in a Mexican standstill. It's like, and you're like, well, that person's very prideful. But understand they are in a place of regret. Spirit saying. But it's also the fact of, now you see me as a disappointment. Now I feel disappointed. So there's a lot of shame. This relationship is creating a lot of like putting this person into that energy of shame. And understand they've created that energy before. It's sabotaging energy, and they've sabotaged themselves, and that's why they're in the energy of that. But it's like, I have to come back and face you. And it's like, it's embarrassment. It's like, it's embarrassment because you didn't act the way that they wanted you to act, that they really thought that you would act, and is what the issue is, And so this person's used to being selfish. and they play dirty. So they're that betrayal energy. And so they didn't, what you know is that they didn't care when they were doing it. And they didn't care why they were doing it while they were doing it either. That's that sabotaging energy. That's why I'm saying this person knows because they are embarrassed to be like, I have to come back. It's like, because you're not coming back. And it's like, again, you trigger their abandonment because you're like, I'm not going to take this shit. I'm not, became intolerant to that bullshit. And said, I don't care who you are. Because I know I have that wisdom. I can be intuitive. I see it. We might be have a soul connection, but I see your bullshit. You know, you want to disrespect me. It's like you will not disrespect me. So you push that person like is in a place of fear, where again their pride to push them into their insecurity is what spirit's saying. That's what happened. And so what are you gonna do? Like this person did it all to themselves. It's like they got carried away in the ego. Like how like they got caught up in it. Like I'll show you, and they'll show you nothing because it's like they showed you right outside of your life. Bye. Like, and they're like, that didn't work out the way, you know. It's like when a person has a daydream in their mind and they're like the superhero, and then they try and play that out in real life and it just doesn't play out the same way. Well, that's like what this person was living the time. Two fell out, we have to take them. They, even though it wasn't really a shuffle, kind of like cheating. But no, I always say that there are no mistakes. Like if something was like that, then spirit wanted those cards. I hate when they're contradictionary because then it's like, what do you want? Okay, let's see. My heart is opening to love and guiding me back to you. I'm trying to leave my comfort zone with this issue. See, they know that they're going to come back, but it's a process for them to have to come back. It's the first it was surrendering to the fact of you're not coming back. That's first of all. Second of all, my life, what will my life look like without you in it? And again, they have to go through the process, is what Spirit's saying. Please don't give up on me. I'm trying to change, but it takes time. This person's used to like being the one in charge. Regardless that you have to disrespect yourself, you have to ignore your needs, like to be with this person. It's like that's what they're used to. But you know what? They're also realizing is I get with that. And then the people agree to it and but then they stab that person in the back, or they're not a good person, or they're not there for the right reason. There's always an underlining shadiness, and that's because this person is a little underlining shadiness where they didn't want to give anything. So now it's like I had a genuine person, and, the issue of the second chakra is all about trust, is all about intimacy, it's all about letting someone in. But like I said, this person sabotaged the relationship because it's like, I'm going to, create a wall. And they realized it's like, well, I still have feelings, but it doesn't logically make sense. See, this person would always logic themselves out of having to change in a relationship. They have a big ego, but they can't do that. They can't do that because I still have a feeling. I can't walk away. I can't stop thinking. I'm becoming more and more obsessive instead of it getting easier as time goes by. It's getting harder because I'm getting more and more like anxiety. Be getting more and more fearful, and triggering my abandonment. So again, that there's a lesson, and there is a lesson, and this person needs to grow up. I feel like I don't deserve your love. And I'm worried you'll leave me when you really see who I am. Didn't I tell you that they pretended to be somebody else? When I started this reading, I said, hey, this person like exaggerated like who they are. So it's like they never really let you in because, hey, you would see, right? So they had to create the illusion. And I don't think that they ever really thought that you really cared for them, even if you said that you did, but that's due to their insecurity. And it's due to the fact, like I said, that this person, is so worried about that, which is abandonment, by the way. So either way, they're stuck in the energy of abandonment. They were afraid to be in a relationship because they were afraid to be abandoned, but they're abandoning themselves by actually not, working on the relationship. That's why you came into the relationship. But I understand things are still happening. This person might be stupid in the fact of knowing how to like act. God, look at these bangs, doing whatever. Anyway, Spirit saying, clear the illusion of the 3D world. Don't take everything at face value. There's a lot more going on spiritually, and energetically than you can see. So you're not seeing anything because this person is again feeling like, well, I'm not deserving. They're confronted now. And they're confronted because it's like, well, I have to come back to you, which means I have to let you in. And guess what? What if you come in here and you're like, I don't like this. What the hell is this nonsense? I don't like anything about you. Bye. Well, that's what they're afraid of. So it's like, what have you been doing with your time? Were you creating yourself? What have you been doing? This person stuck in a place of insecurity. Um, like a person shouldn't be able to do that, is what I'm trying to get at. And the lesson is it's more than just a relationship. Our relationships teach us. That's the whole point of a relationship. Is Spirit saying it's again to teach us, to help us evolve. Where again, you're making this person change. It's uncomfortable. They don't want to do it. It's a slow process, but it's like you're not coming back. And you're probably not going to come back, and so they're trying to come, like, leave their comfort zone, but inevitably they're coming back. They just don't know where they are. It might be on a horse that has three legs too, like it's a very slow process, but understand this person feels comfortable when they're talking, things just come out of their mouth, and afterwards they don't know why they said them. But again, that intimacy and trust where they open up and it's like, oh, but I understand everybody wants that. Everybody wants a soul connection. Everybody desires that. But then, hey, if you're inside the soul and you have a soul connection, you're going to come on in and you're going to see it all. And the good, the bad, the ugly. Because it's all going to be there because everybody has a good, a bad, and an ugly. And good, bad, and ugly. Well, that's only good, bad, and ugly. Like, and there's also usually an excellent, whatever. That there's you're gonna see. They're gonna see it all. Is what I'm trying to get at. So it means that at one time that this person was rejected because of, or abandoned because of something that they did, something that they said, something that they, so it's hard for this person to even have intimacy through trust, you know and that's really what it is. Hey everybody, I'll answer your questions after. I feel insecure and it's pushing me to grow, and that's what I'm saying, that this is what this relationship is doing. So even though you're not seeing anything, this person is changing. And this person, again, they're going to get more and more and more and more and more uncomfortable, because they want to know everything about you, but they hold themselves back. And that's what I'm saying. The intimacy, they want it. They crave it. That's the second chakra. Intimacy, passion. It's that birthing center. And I feel the chemistry between us. We need to trust that the energy that we share will bring us back together. Sounds like romance, right? Here it is. But then Spirit saying it's like, understand, because there's passion. It's like there's a spiritual connection. There is, but of course there is. Otherwise, this person wouldn't do anything. They need to heal. Spirit says it's again because they were not awakened. They were again selfish. And Spirit says, so now they're awakening. And so they're knowing more than they realize. However, when the person goes through an awakening, there's also a healing process. And that healing process is that where I feel like you and this person are like in a process of healing your inner child wounds. Now, and understand this person didn't, I feel like they didn't treat you right. Now they're coming in a little bit hot, but this is where they are now. This is again where their ego has to, they have to, surrender their ego in order to come back. And this is the process of it. Now, does that mean that you have to take this person back? No, this is again where they're at. This is when we look and say, again, what did you need? What do you need to look at your healing? Going to also say, well, what is this person going to do? Because what we see is that they're already coming back. So there's nothing left to look. We just don't know where they are in their healing process, meaning day. But they're again in that process. And Spirit says, which means it doesn't matter whether you take this person back from a spiritual perspective. And the reason why is because Spirit says they're coming back, which means they have to surrender their ego. So either way, Spirit says, I win, because they had to surrender their ego to get to a place of unconditional love. They also have to come back and kind of like with their tail between their legs, like they're, head down. Like it's embarrassing for this person to have to come back. In their mind, it wasn't going to play out this way. It wasn't supposed to play out this way. You're holding to it. You don't care. It's like it's either gonna like it's like here you are. It's either my way or the highway. Where that was the energy that this person was giving you when you first met them. My way or the highway. Now you're like you're gonna come back. It's my way or the highway. And you'll be lucky if I give you a breadcrumb, which is as much as you gave me. I give you a half a breadcrumb, just to be petty. That's what this person is like. Oh God, and they need to be that way because they didn't treat you right. They wouldn't be looking at their behavior if it wasn't a spiritual connection, but also again their behavior, Spirit saying. It's like they were not evolved, selfish, thinking about themselves. And if this is just with you, you better believe it was also in other areas, but when it's time to evolve, it's time to evolve. And God uses people to help us evolve to a higher state of consciousness. We wouldn't know what that energy was. We know that it's unconditional love, but we tend to think, well, if it's unconditional love, shouldn't it look like this? And Spirit says, only my love is perfect. No one's love is going to be perfect. If anything, the way a person loves you is usually like, you're like, don't love me like that. What are you doing? Like where you're like, because in your mind, you're like, it should look this way. And Spirit says, that's not unconditional love. You're like, I do have unconditional love, but I want it to look a certain way. And spirit says, it's again, we usually want it to look a way which is fulfilling some need that we needed at some time in our life and it wasn't fulfilled. So we're like, oh no, now you're going to do it this way. And spirit says that's a second chakra imbalance of control when there's a wound in like the identity where spirit's saying it's like for you neglect when we're looking at inner child wounds, suppression. Now, if neglect could be, it's usually emotional, you know, but it also could be psychological. If you had any challenge in life, let's just say you weren't the best student. Well, hey, and you made your family look bad, per se. I'm going to punish you, and I'm going to punish you by not talking to you, by making you feel insignificant, by making you feel as if there's something wrong with you. Now, we remember, the child self remembers that. It's like a way of suppression. It's a way of like, I'm going to keep you down, like, because that parent is like mad. But punishment through neglect. And that's through making you feel insignificant, making you feel, again, not worthy. Understand, you become like an empath, really, because you wind up not trusting that parent. If, they're going to control you by like force, but force psychologically and emotionally. You become like a truth speaker where you're highly sensitive and also like just tend to, might even feel like you were a little bit rebellious, you know. But then what winds up happening is it winds up playing out in other relationships, trust issues, and we see here again time and attention. And what I was afraid of, which is like protection. When a child doesn't feel safe, and if a child doesn't feel safe to be, and just have their unique unfoldment process without being told who they should be, um, without that judgment. A lot of times that is what it makes that person feel like, but it's not even that. It's also the neglect. It's the energy of that. Because what will play out later on is, again, that second chakra issue where a person emotionally doesn't show up for you, that you see that person is either not capable of showing up for you, or they continually sabotage the connection, which is again just obviously another way that they don't show up for you. So you never get that time and attention. You never feel safe in a relationship. See, protection starts off with really how safe we feel within ourselves. But if we don't feel safe within ourselves, many times it's because we were born into families where our parents didn't feel safe with who they were. And how does that play out? Within anxiety, depression, and all the other energies that we tend to inherit. So when we're looking at your inner child wounds, there's just a sense of, not emotionally getting what you needed, I would say. And then having other people come into your life where also not, I want to say that trust. This frenemy card to me is always like that. It's like, it's not really friendship, it's a frenemy card because kid's not really friend. And so when you don't feel safe, you don't trust, that will be a karmic theme that continues to play out with when you grow up in an environment where you feel as if you obviously were not safe. And that safety could be, again, psychologically or emotionally, is what Spirit's saying. Is that there wasn't an anchor. That anchor is the support. That support is what makes us strong within ourselves. See, we always say that that first and second chakra work very close together. And they do, because if you're supported by, again, the environment that you grow up in, well, then you're confident to go out and make mistakes. You're confident enough to go out and try things. A lot of times, kids that just don't feel safe, they don't try things. So it's the internal landscape that winds up needing to be healed, which is why you got a person that, like, they see that they love you, but they see that they, took you for granted. So it's almost like you had to go through this experience to integrate the spiritual lesson, if that makes sense. Because otherwise, we never change that emotional imprint. And the emotional imprint is, I just don't see it ever happening, where you can't open up your third eye. See, the third eye allows you to, if you can imagine it, you can have it. But if you don't see that support, I feel like by you standing your ground and this person really wanting to come back, you're seeing a different version. You're seeing a different outcome because you're doing something different, is what Spirit's saying, which you needed to do. And the Spirit says, then we look at your wounds. Which is energy imbalance. So I feel like that's always connected to the adrenals, and that's your root chakra. And why I say that, if you're like an overthinker, if you worry a lot, it's like, if you're like, especially if you're in a relationship with someone that you don't trust or you have a connection to, which I feel like is probably what happened. Like, you were in a relationship with someone that continuously made you not trust, and just not trust them, but then over time not trust you. And it's exhausting. It's like it triggers the adrenals. Having someone come in and out of your life triggers the adrenals. And that's why it's so dangerous. It's intermittent manipulation, which actually creates brain damage. So it changes your body chemistry, having that within your life. So also, growing up without that stability, right, is again that root chakra is where the adrenals are, that first chakra, which is connection to support, mother and father, ancestral, your connection to your physical body, the physical world, all physical elements of the physical world. And Spirit saying is like, what'll happen, it's like you'll find that you hold on to a lot of anger and resentment because you grew up in a family that there was a lot of anger and resentment. So what it is it's like you find that it shows up as like maybe holding on to grudges or just irritability or bursts of anger, rooted in past betrayal, really, and injustice, of feeling like I have not been treated well, you know? And so unmet expectation, the wound can create lingering bitterness that blocks healing and forwarded movement. So that does happen. Like, if you feel like you grew up in that environment where with ancestors with no support, and then what happens is you make a lot of mistakes, you begin to view yourself through those mistakes. That is also what creates a lot of energy imbalances, because you're not your experiences, but living those experiences are obviously tiresome, and they make you angry because you can't see a way out. And that happens, like again, when the third eye is blocked, is what Spirit's saying. So, what's the whole point? Well, it's again the inner child wounding, and that's it show up as unresolved emotional pain, unmet needs, and the neglect, and a sense of feeling unloved from like childhood, like, and that's what we said earlier, like, which is what those wounds were going to make you feel. And so having that wound of feeling like unloved, then you attract people that are not just, I don't want to say like, oh, they do that, but they're on a low vibration, and they're on a low vibration because hey, when you don't like yourself, or you don't love yourself, or you don't feel that you're lovable because of how someone else made you feel. You know, when you grow up in an environment when a parent makes you feel that way, or a sibling makes you feel that way, or someone important to you makes you feel that way, that is the trauma. It's like you're not walking around saying, oh, I remember this trauma. It's like it's subconscious. It affected you. It's like you don't look for it. It tends to play out. And it played out within this connection, which is why you're like, fuck you. I'm not going to like cave into you. I'm not going to give you anything. Nothing. I'd be lucky if I give you a half a fucking breadcrumb when you come back. It's like, no, it's like, and that's the bitterness and the anger and the resentment that Spirit says that needs to go. That's a root chakra issue. The betrayal, and the betrayal because, hey, there was neglect. It was like my needs weren't met. It's like, in Spirit saying it's again, that's makes you feel like, again, that abandonment, but understand like the energy imbalance comes from feeling abandoned by God, really, because it's that first chakra is our connection to mother and father. It's the connection to the earth, Mother Earth, but it's also Father up in heaven. So Father up in heaven, and see nothing. And God says, I work through you through gut intuition, inner knowing. So when you're balanced, you're creating your life. When you're not balanced because you grew up in an environment that made you feel a certain way, well, then you tend to settle for less than what you deserve. And so that's why you got a person that treated you less than what you deserved, which is why you learned the lesson because you said, fuck off. I'm not doing anything. And God says, well, that's why this person's being forced to change. But you had to get to that point. Because again, those like inner child wounds, it was all to help you open up your third eye. Because how can you imagine anything? The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. How can you imagine anything? You know, when you're in fearful mode because of abandonment, of feeling unworthy, of feeling this way. Spirit says, I don't make problems. I don't make junk. People tend to like abandon due to their own issues. However, how it affects you is again, it'll block your third eye, it blocks your intuition, your inner vision about like really your future, like being able to see. Um, Really, if we're in survival mode, we're only thinking about surviving. We're not thinking about thriving. So our choices are usually temporary. They're usually made to last only temporary, Spirit says. Because remember, the root chakra is all about stability, that connection to mother and father, and having an anchor, again, is the support. And you didn't have that, which is what creates the resentment and the anger. And so Spirit says, so of course you're going to have a blocked third eye. And the blocked third eye is again just going to feel disconnected from your purpose, because again, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. But what are you creating if you're in survival? Again, nothing. Survival. And so Spirit's saying it's again, you wanna you wanna not do that, because you'll then just be overthinking. And God says, don't do my job. Do your job. Be like childlike. So again, then you can see out of your third eye. But again, you can't be like that if you're worried due to people that you're connected to. So Spirit's saying like that's why that's restricting spiritual insight, and really that's what it is. So you had to do that to balance yourself out. See if there's a block within that first chakra, all the chakras are in balance. But what you'll see is if there's a first chakra imbalance, there's a real bad second chakra imbalance. And it plays out within like relationships like this. Like I get like an avoidant person, and the person that sabotages the connection. So we already start off fucked up on a bad note. You already start off, and Spirit says, yeah, because it's like the environment that you grew up in. So it's again, I'm going to recreate the environment as best as I can. You know, that applies like the crown chakra, which I want you to know there's only so many chakras, okay? And the deck is a big deck. So Spirit's saying it's like your chakras. So it just shows up as like disconnect from really God, your purpose, leaving you cut off from universal wisdom. And that's you can if you're overthinking, and if you're worried, you're out of balance. Of course, like you're not going to feel connected to anything. You have to in order to begin to feel good about yourself because of abandonment wounds. So that again, you already felt abandoned. This person created abandonment, and clearly they have an abandonment issue. They abandoned themselves, but understand they're afraid of abandonment, which is why they did what they did and sabotaged the connection. Never gave you enough time, and so Spirit's just saying it's a lot of like fear and really codependency. Believe it or not, it's that this person almost like needed reassurance. I need you to reassure me. And you might have been like, well, I need you to reassure me. I need for you to like tell me. Where a Spirit's saying it's like if you grew up in an environment where there was abandonment, and this person grew up in an environment where there's abandonment, understand you're going to have blockages, because the kids then have to go out on their own, and they feel like they're a bother, and they feel like this is their first connection to their parent. So that attachment is hugely important. So if their attachment is that they feel like they're a bother, they feel like they're an inconvenience, their needs aren't being met, there's again, it's going to block everything up. So it's normal. And it's also normal then to then say, well, I kind of need someone outside of me. So the codependency is that, but you feel see the person's not coming in like balanced, they're coming in automatically emotionally like handicapped. That's one sign that they're codependent. It's like that they can't, that they can't communicate, that they can't express. Shows up on relying too much on others for validation and support. Often neglecting their own needs may involve trouble setting boundaries and feeling unworthy of love unless constantly giving, rooted in the past neglect. And like that's really, again, the abandonment. So feeling again not worthy, not good enough, which is why this person, like I said, did what they did. So they created a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you get to know me, you probably won't stay. And it's like, so I won't really let you get to know me, so you won't stay. But I want you to stay. And so it's again that codependency. So you'll see a lot of like psychological reversals, which is, hey, the person does exactly what they need to do to sabotage the connection, not really create the connection. And it's not because they don't have love, but from understanding, it's like why you attracted this person. This again, you attract this person too, because hey, growing up where you don't feel supported is you're going to have all the same blockages. You're going to have that block in your third eye of saying, oh, I don't really, can't really envision me being with a person that is going to support me, really. Unless, so codependency is always like a sense of feeling lack, is what Spirit's saying, and that will always make you feel tired. That's always also going to block your third eye because, hey, there's a sense of being more worried about a person not staying than in actuality than being able to create a life. And that's because of, past issues or whatever. Like there's a lot of reasons for it. Spirit's saying it's like not just that. So that's why it got to a point where you're like, well, if you're going to abandon me, then I'm gonna, I might as well, like, I'm not gonna, you need to show me something. Where I feel like this person was actually expecting you to, like, show them something or hoping that you would invest time without, like, saying, hey, I want to see what's really behind the curtain there per se, because you're showing me that this Oz person, you know, but really there's a bald man that's pulling strings behind the curtain. It's like you're only, the persons can only let you come in so far. Remember, if they're so afraid that you're gonna leave, like the intimacy and doing it and then wanting you to chase after them, it's like ridiculous because in the end of the day, you're not getting what you want. And then it put you in a place of, well, now I'm always like fearing like about the future. And then there will be a lack of groundedness, which is the worst thing that can happen because then you're going to be paranoid and you create the same exact thing. So I feel like, again, you, part of the healing was to integrate, to integrate the grounding, to be more in the moment, to get more focused on not whenever you have fear of the future, it's to be get into the present moment because only in the now do you get divine guidance. And when you create yourself, and that's through the second chakra, which is why I talked about that center all throughout this, this reading. I channeled that. And the reason why is because, like, if the person was balanced from an emotional standpoint, they would have that like none of this would have really like would have happened. This person, everything that they were terrified that they didn't do, now they're forced to have to do. But in it while they do it, it opens up their third eye. It balances out their first chakra because again, doing it, they get grounded, they get present, they get in the moment. There's no more projecting of what you might do. There's no more mind chatter. It's like this person gets gets balanced within it. It's like there's, hey, knowing is better than not, than being in this limbo state of becoming more and more and more and more and more nervous and and more obsessive because hey, you're not doing anything. You're not going to fix it. You're like, I didn't break it. I'm not fixing it. And that's what, so it makes you get grounded because again, like, well, I'm not going to abandon myself. It's like you had to reparent yourself. You had to do that. And that's like again because of the neglect wound. So it doesn't mean that you'll never have someone else that expects you to abandon yourself, but you'll recognize the signs and you wouldn't entertain it that long. But if you fully want to embody a whole nother consciousness, which is what you really have to do to like not just, it's not that those people wouldn't go to you, those people go to everybody. You wouldn't entertain that type of energy because this person wasn't giving enough. They couldn't, because if they would have let you in, you would have seen who they are, and they were too afraid to do that. So they were giving you just enough because, and that was based on what they felt you thought about yourself. Remember that. It's like you set the stage where you might have been like, I was just being nice, but Spirit's saying, but if you were neglected and you never emotionally got what you needed, you're going to be more than generous with your time. You're going to abandon yourself, not meaning to, but in the fact of worried about somebody else, where that's like the codependency is also validation of other person, where Spirit's saying it's like now it's time to like change the energy template altogether. And you do that by you go into uncharted waters, evoke your curiosity to discover new aspects of life. Like, hey, if this is what you're attracting, I can talk, a person that what thinks it's okay to abandon you. Well, understand, then there's a sense also that you are mad and have resentment and anger due to the fact that of how they treated you, because it was disrespectful and they just thought that they could treat you like however. While the Spirit's saying, well, then you don't give the person time. They're coming back, but they can also sit there and wait while you go into uncharted waters. Go into uncharted waters to find new aspects of life, to meet new people. Spirit says, because if you took this person back now anyway, you probably wouldn't stay with the person, even if you wanted to, because of resentment and anger, like they did something. So partially you would have to really go out and venture into the unknown with confidence, Spirit's saying, to meet new people and to date and to live a life, and then decide whether or not you want to be with this person. Otherwise, you might feel like you settled, is what Spirit's saying. Because, hey, they neglected you. They had the opportunity. It was okay. There's a part of you that you're like, you're angry. This person wasn't there. Where the Spirit's saying, well, maybe there's more out there. No one's telling you that you need to eat those stale cookies. You could go to the grocery store and there's a whole lot of cookies on the shelf. You get to like try whatever you want. That's this person's karma. You don't have to worry about that person or feel bad for that person. Spirit says take time out, because you're too emotional. And it's because this person did, and now they're going to come back. How dare they come back? So like again, all the feelings and emotions, and yeah, they did that before. Why would I even want them back in my life? Because I have this big revelation. Good for them. Where Spirit says it right. So if they have their process, you have to allow yourself to have your process. Where Spirit says, so you have to release control. It's again, because you're not in charge of how this goes. So you're going to get mad. It's going to trigger you. It's going to bring up a lot of inner child wounds. But that doesn't mean that that person doesn't love you. Doesn't mean that they don't care about you. They went through their process. They did what they did. You may say, I don't like their process. And Spirit says, you usually won't like the person's process because it's designed to awaken all your wounds, what you need to look at, what you need to do for yourself. This person is just a symbolization of what you need to heal. You always have free will. Either way, the lesson is learned. Spirit saying, where again, you have to learn to surrender. And also acknowledge how much you've been through, that you're a strong person. And now it's about like being free, like being, live authentically and boldly and unafraid to be yourself. Like it's about finding yourself, being true to yourself, like so that you can attract the people and the situations that are going to be most in alignment with you, like, and not toned down and not suppressed and allowed to have your not just your process, but to to find yourself in the way that you need to. Spirit saying it's like it's a way that you like when you have like the second chakra in balance, is if there's a sense of there's something missing in your life. So when you go out and you find yourself, and the best way to do that is through, again, live true to yourself boldly. That means join things, like connect to different people, live life. You transform, you change. You become a whole different person. You metamorphose, and you do that because you begin to see yourself differently. And that's really what allows you to release the limiting beliefs that no longer serve you, like those core beliefs that were created in childhood, right? We create these core beliefs that they help support you at one time. But if you grew up without support, without feeling loved, you had to survive, but that survived, you're not going to thrive. And you're also not going to be able to attract healthy relationships. This person, big ego. They thought who they were. They thought that they could have their cake and eat it too, which is why it pushed you to say, no, not anymore. I'm not. I deserve better. The Spirit says, finally, you again passed the test. So I don't care whether you take this person back or not. You have free will to take the person back or not. Is this person sorry? Yes. Do they have feelings for you? Yes. Do they want to fix things? Yes. They want all of it. It's like, but Spirit saying you should go out and live and see your other options before you make that decision. Like, because you're still in the form of transforming. They can wait. And understand that might mean that you have to date somebody else. You go take a trip somewhere. Like Spirit says, I don't care how long, I don't care like what it is, but you have to like make that person stew a little bit while you find yourself. It's not being a blame game, but it's so that you feel confident in your decision of actually being with this person, and letting this person also know that you have a life, that at any given time they could be dropped, and you have a life, that you're not just going to drop everything and say, okay, I'm going to be with you. This is what Spirit says. It's like, again, you can be with them, but they're not on your vibration. You holding to a standard makes them raise their vibration, but that's a process. Spirit says, and it's a slow process. So Spirit says it's like, so it doesn't really matter whether you're with them or not. It's irrelevant. You can choose to be with them, and it's some of you guys will be Some of you guys won't be. I don't think that you should be. I think that you should live your life. If a person again isn't on your life, we know that this person is coming back. I just feel like for you, I have things to deal with before I can love again. So I feel like this person taught you. So for again, and maybe not all of you, again, this is a collective reading. So in this story, is it like it has to do with like the person saying like, you know what, it's like, I appreciate the fact that you have feelings for me and you're going to come back for me. But you know what? I'm not, you taught me, you taught me that I need to do some healing because I don't like this relationship at all. And it's like, and I deserved a lot better. And Spirit says, yes, that's again the transformation. So I feel like in this story, the person does not take the person back, that they come back, and that's their karma. And Spirit says, I don't care. Because guess what? That person learns, and they learn by the fact that, hey, you missed out. And you missed out because that's what you chose to do. You chose to, like, you fucked around, you found out. And the Spirit says, you're out. And it's again, and that's the way that the wheel turns. And Spirit says that's what it is. It's like I don't care one way or the other. It's like you want to play Russian roulette with in your relationships, and you want to play Russian roulette. Well, that's what happens. It's like you thought that the person was going to leave you if they saw who you are. Well, guess what? They left you because they never gave it you anything. And now that the fact that you want to do it now, well, guess what? Now you can wait. But most likely, you guys would be just two ships in the night that like will continue to pass. Spirit says the path to light. Make the conscious choice to move towards the light one step at a time. You transform your weaknesses into strength. By mastering your thoughts, you overcome obstacles with positivity and acceptance. You develop your gifts and extend your light to every being unconditionally. And everything that's on the path, like, is really helping you to like revert your energy back to the light. So your shadows and our relationships bring out our shadows, which is what inevitably I feel like this person made you to do. Say, wait a minute, before like I actually like be with love again and even give you a second chance, or whether I want to give you a second chance or just meet someone new, I want to do my own healing. And Spirit says it, yeah. And the beautiful thing is that all healing does not need to be like sitting down doing shadow work. That sometimes it's just about going out into the world and experiencing life and connecting with new people that are going to show you a different narrative. Again, that's the second chakra imbalance. And healing, what is healing? Healing is seeing a different perception of your situation, right? That's what it really is. So that you can again see the goodness. Everything is helping you to refine your character and to really to help you overcome difficulties by remaining positive and really to again transform the shadow into light, and that you consciously are manifesting goodness in and around you, and to improve the quality of all and the benefit of all. Like it's just your goodness, but like situations that are again helping you to refine you, to help heal you, so that you can attract people that are worthy of your energy. And that's because that's what you're giving out. That's what you're showing, not the energy of the past. See, when there's not enough life, and the second chakra again represents your individuality, who you perceive you are. So if you grew up in an environment where there was no support and there was no survival, and relationships were hard because the connection wasn't strong, and hey, now you're looking at yourself through that level, and that's sabotaging energy, because you're the person saying, well, I'm not enough because, you know, no one's ever in my life. They're basing who they are on who showed up for them, what has transpired in their life, but they grew up in an imbalanced environment. That doesn't mean that you're going to see them that way, but they see themselves that way. So the sabotaging energy is really like what this person like continues to create that life. You were just part of that due to the fact of, hey, I grew up in an environment where I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel supported. So like goes to like. It's not that the person's like you're a bad person. It's the fact of that the spiritual lesson needed to be played out. You needed to be seen your goodness. You needed to, again, put more energy into you, have a love affair with your life to say, hey, this is really what I'm worth. And when you're living that life, like you said, you're meeting people. It's not like you're going to be an island to yourself. There's an idea of really what you want and really knowing what you want because you've experienced what it is and what you have. And instead of just settling for somebody that, yes, there's passion and there's a connection, but there's all this hurt and this person's like, again, they're coming back sorry, but hey, there's a sense of, hey, they're just going to do it again. That's people do things when they're comfortable. So when you're part of you finding yourself and doing for you, it creates that boundary where the person is not coming back to the same version of you. But Spirit says, I don't care whether you're with them or not at this point. It's like this didn't show that they were cheating. I never pulled a cheating card. What I pulled was insecure baby games, playing games, lying, manipulating, that type of energy. But not, again, a real sabotaging energy of I'm cheating, I'm a liar, you know. If we pull to see, again, now everyone's gonna be somewhat uh different. But in this story, if we want to say, oh, like, let's pick what did this person do? Like, if we were to like point out the behaviorisms, you know, what would it be? It would be again creating illusions. Like, and the betrayal was really that. And it goes back to like this person, like how they grew up having a lot of anxiety. And the anxiety is you're going to see who I am, you're not going to like me. So again, because of like how they grew up, what they were taught, so they created the illusion, but then you're not going to get that close. You're not going to get that close to me. So it's like I wanted to be this person wanted to be in a relationship, but they like you can't be in a relationship with a person that's not going to let you in 100%. You just can't be. It's like over time, it looks like you're cheating and it looks like you're doing weird things, and it gets really uncomfortable because the focus is on that, and you're not knowing what it is. You're just feeling like, hey, this is something's off within the relationship. And yeah, this person, like, underlying, believe it or not, they have a lot of sadness because on again of the way that they grew up. Maybe again they recreated that with an ex or several exes where everyone leaves them. Everyone, as soon as they really get to know this person, they reject this person, they don't like this person. So this person has like real insecurity about that. I feel like they grew up in an environment where they got a lot of criticism, so like whatever you say to this person, like you could just like give this person like constructive criticism. They might be like somebody that's really like highly sensitive to it. They're not going to show you it, but it's like something that you said that really hurts their feelings. So to be in a relationship with someone like that, it's like you're walking on eggshells. So you're like, you never know what you're going to get. They need to heal their underlining wounds. Spirit says they came into your life to help you heal. That was it. And to push you into like going out and venture into the unknown, finding yourself, having a love affair with yourself, investing in you, because it was either be with this person when they come back after they did whatever that they did. And then it's like, well, would you be happy? You would be okay for a certain amount of time, but there was still that underlying like anger, like, well, what they just got to do that and they come back. Or you don't take this person back, and then spirit says, then you're going to be mad because you're going to say, well, we had this connection, they fucked it up. And spirit says, well, it can be not one or the other. It's to help create your balance. How you need to deal with it is again through that transformation process by becoming someone else, is how you again release those beliefs of who you are, what you're deserving of, what you can, again, whatever the narrative was that you were forced to live that made you perceive, well, maybe I'm not deserving, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not worthy, maybe you didn't even know that that's what you were doing, because no one's ever walking around saying that. But what they do is they settle for less. That's okay. It's all right. Like too forgiving, too nice, too compensating, too is again where you abandon yourself. Spirit's saying it's like it's not done in a way that you're like conscious of it. You're like, I just want to be a nice person, just want to treat people the way I want to be treated. Spirit says, but you got nothing. So you want people to really treat you the way that you would treat you, because you would come in and you give everything because you know what that feels like. And the spirit says, but everybody's not like that. So it's again, this is a worthiness thing. So again, and that's what they down deep inside made you feel. So again, spirit saying you really wouldn't really be satisfied. So it's about going out and finding your goodness now, knowing your worth. And that's so then if when they come back and you've lived, you could say either, hey, I don't really give a shit that you're back, or I'm not really angry. It's like anymore because I'm fulfilled, but you could still wait. Or do I really want to be in this relationship because I'm having a great time? So if you're coming into my life, how are you planning on treating me? What's your vision? Maybe your vision doesn't align with my vision for my future. You have options. You put yourself in a better position because now this person actually wants to be in a relationship. So now you have the upper hand. Well, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to be angry and stay mad? Or are you going to say, well, what do you have in mind? It's like, what are you offering me? It's like, let me think about it. Like if the offer is good, if they can make you an offer that you can't refuse, and you can say, well, I still don't trust them. If it's a trust thing, then they would obviously need to spend a lot of time in convincing you, like to trust. It's how much effort a person puts into it as well, because they can always help transform the situation. I don't really believe that was rather that's what that was for. I believe that this person just came into your life to again expose the wounds, that it's about going out into the unknown because you don't know. But spirit says, hey, they'll come back, it'll be your option. But you know my stance on it. I'm gonna leave that there. Let me read your comments. Hey, which Braxter Kimber and and Melanie. Hey, I was just thinking I'm August 23rd called out again. This is on September 11th. I'm just thinking that trust. Okay. Well, trust doesn't come from trusting other people, it comes from trusting yourself. Understand that. It's like only in the now do you get divine guidance through gut intuition, inner knowing, right? So if you attract people that are shady and that you don't trust, well, then there is also a sense of that I don't feel safe. And you have to change that template and you have to do something to make you feel safe. And that might mean, well, I take an empath psychic protection class and I take karate lessons or I take a self defense class or I do something again that's also going to help me connect to my physical body because when I am fearful, I'm not in the present moment. I'm worried about what might happen, what could happen. So being strong within yourself is key. So that's number one. Number two, um, again, getting strong within yourself, like it's also about finding yourself. Like this in the story, the person needs to find themselves. My hair is driving me crazy. And the person needs to find themselves, right? So a person goes and they find themselves by having a love affair within their life. They find their passion. They give themselves that passion. This person did not come and give passion. They didn't do anything. But no one should be giving you that solely on your own. Otherwise, you're in a desert and you're going to accept breadcrumbs, which is what this person thought because of how much time you gave them, by how nice and compensating you were towards them. Didn't mean that that was true. It means from their perception of you. So, but what it is what it stirred up inside of you, which again made me feel abandoned, made me feel like, again, that this person tried to make me feel like it was an option. They tried to make me feel like, again, everything that it tried to make you feel is what needs to be transformed. And Spirit says, and that's not done with this person or with anybody else. It's done solely by yourself because the path happens while you're on it. Doesn't mean that you can't have love affairs along the way, but it's like a solo trip. It's like, because you don't know what you want. It's not, oh, I get out of this, I don't pick this, let me run into another relationship, because Spirit's saying this is still about finding yourself. Otherwise, you wind up reliving the same karmic theme, which is, having people not give you emotionally. Was about learning to give it to yourself, and at the end of the day, it's your choice of what you want to do with this person. Like I said, it's a collective reading, so everyone will do something different. I'm going to leave that there. You can let me know how you resonated. If you did, give it a like. Let me know again what you thought. I'm going to leave that there. Bye, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Yes, they didn't wait. They didn't care about my feelings when they made their decision. Yeah, like it's like people that do that. It's again that when you're in a relationship with somebody, but they do that a lot of times because they're like, I can't face you, but I'm going to do it. Sometimes you get penalized for loving a person. It's like, and that's like when there's always signs before. They just don't just not say goodbye or just not show up one day. There's always signs. And those signs are the person's detached a little bit. They're not, you always feel like they're holding back a little bit. You don't really feel like you don't feel like your place within their life is so secure right from the get-go. And they might say it's because of a past relationship or it's because of some stupid excuse. But the bottom line is that CEOs, if you were to go into their like and they want like hiring and you said, hey, I'd really love to work this job, but you know, like I just came from another job and I'm really tired and it just stressed me out. Need a vacation. The person would be like, I don't care. It's like because it's like I need people that are going to be productive, not people that are going to like complain about the job. And if you're already coming in complaining about the job, that's all that you're going to get. So that's why a person treats you. So it's like when a person comes in handicapped, that's what I like to say. It's like, well, I like it feel bad. It's like no, because it's like they're setting the stage for that. It's like if they wanted to buy a car, they wouldn't go on to the car lot with half their money. They wouldn't go into a food store with half the money. It's like it's what you're worth, and it's like what you're willing to accept. And a lot of times it's like, well, we were just friends. It started off like we were just friends. Spirit says, yeah, because that's how they started it off. They started off like that because if they would have came in correct, saying how they felt and set the standard, well, then the relationship would either have to grow or it would just you wouldn't it would die. So this is a way that it can grow really slow, but then you're settling for really like not enough. And over time, it diminishes how you begin to feel about yourself. And that's really what makes you bound to that inner child wound, which is, hey, like I wasn't supported, I don't feel loved, I don't feel like we're spiritual, because you have to do it for yourself. It's like you do it for yourself. There are going to be people that don't like you. There are going to be people that have problems when you defend yourself and you love yourself and you step into your truth because, hey, they can't take advantage. When people can't take advantage, of you, then that's usually a problem. Remember, everyone wants to take your time, your energy, your focus, your money. Those are your superpowers, that those are your tools to manifest your life. And so when everyone wants them and you don't do for yourself, you become depleted. And Spirit's saying there's a sense of already having that energy. So unless you actually really embody a new consciousness, you never change that emotional template. And you need to change that in order to believe it, right? If like we manifest through the thoughts that we think, the emotions that we have, and if we're holding on to that energy, well, it's like it's contradictory. It's like you're not going to be able to manifest what you want to manifest. Spirit saying so you have to go through these experiences to clear that energetic template. Like I said, it's not because you're deserving of having a person that's emotionally not intelligent. It's because it's there to help you understand what it is that you want, get clear about what you want. And so again, that's how the best way that you can, really create a successful life is to really know what you want. Spirit saying, hey, you were a little unclear. And you might say, no, I always wanted. Spirit says, but like you settled for less, which tells me that you didn't. And so the universe will test you, So again, you have to stand true to you. Now I'm really going to leave that there. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.